How do you think Bill will be on TV? Think he's going to be good? I think he's going to be great, Paul.
I think he should be. Yeah. I mean, I think that obviously he has an ability to do that better than anybody else, right? I mean, breaking down even the little snippets that you saw of the draft, he has an ability to watch film and come away with takeaways that most people are not going to get. So I think his ability to sort of present that will be the key. Can he do it in a way that it's going to be entertaining and interesting to the layman? People like me who aren't necessarily film junkies. So obviously his knowledge is going to be, in a class by itself. I think he can be very good. I think that inevitably we will overrate how good he is at it because every time the guy talks and expresses even a modicum of personality, everyone, that's the real Bill. Like, he doesn't let you see that side of him very okay. All right, well, he said that Drake May needs work. That's like he didn't break, the internet when he was breaking down Drake May's, college tape. I think he'll be very good at it if he wants to be. And the second part of that is something that Felger always talks about, and this is the big key. Will he be willing to really offer analysis? Not just praise, but true analysis when things are breaking down, telling you why, and telling you individually that this guy's not good enough, or that guy's not good enough, or that coach didn't have a good game plan.
No, you're not going to get that from him.
Well,
but that doesn't mean he can't.
He'll only be so good then.
Well, I sort of want to push back on that because my favorite type of analyst is the guy who's got the experience and the resume and then rips people because that's what's most interesting, right? When things go wrong, tell me why it went wrong. Who effed up, right?
Yep.
But I don't think every single person has to be that guy.
No, he doesn't have to rip everybody.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to do it.
Ignored.
I don't think he's going to do a lot of it. I think he's going to do his best to be nice to everybody because he wants back in. So I just think there are different types of people who can exist in the landscape of people who are analyzing and talking about football, and he's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be the guy who tells you everything that went wrong, but he will tell you things that maybe you didn't know or didn't understand.
Yeah,
that's where he's going to be valuable, but I think when I say he's going to do great, he's going to show off a ton of personality because he needs to. He's motivated to. So I think, generally speaking, when I say he'll be great, I think his employers are going to be happy because he's going to be well received by a ton of viewers. Is it my personal favorite kind of analyst? No, but I think he'll do great and make his employers happy and make the viewers happy.
Yeah,
and that's how you gauge things in this market,
and I didn't
in this
mean
business.
To step on you there, Beetle, but he's always been sort of deferential to coaches. I think he understands, as a coach, as long as he has been one, he understands what goes into it. And I think he's been sort of even when you think, he must really not like him. He must really not like Rex Ryan. But then, Welker does his thing where he was disrespectful to Ryan, and that bothered Bill. You know what I mean? It was like sort of disrespect to a fellow coach, even though he probably, in his heart of heart, he doesn't have a lot in common with Rex Ryan. Their personalities are so different. But I do think that makes sense if he wouldn't want to necessarily dip his toes into critical analysis of coaching. But teams and players, I think he should get into, and if he doesn't, then I think he'll only be so good at it. So I disagree with you a little bit. I think you don't need to be ripping everybody, but you need to sort of tell us why it went wrong when it goes wrong.
So let me ask you, do you think he's being a hypocrite by jumping into the media?
Simply for doing media?
Yeah.
No, I don't find that overly hypocritical. I mean, I think he is just – his problem with media is he feels like everything is a potential secret. No matter what he says, he feels like his potential to give the opponent information. It's not necessarily – I mean, I'm sure that there are individual guys that he has not liked over the years because of the way he was treated, but I don't think it's necessarily the job itself. But I think he looked at everything as a potential security breach. Why am I going to talk to you about injuries? Why am I going to talk to you about how this guy might be used? Or if this guy is doing this in practice, that's potentially telling the other team the game plan or a guy's availability or how we're going to use somebody. I'm not going to do that. And I think that's his opposition with the media, not necessarily the fact that they were there. It wasn't personal, I don't think.
See, my thought on Bill is that as much as he may have said privately to people that the media is worthless in terms of coaching, right? That it's not doing you.
Doesn't do anything to help the team.
Right.
That's how he always.
Well, that's kind of.
That's how he would say it to me.
Okay, so there you go. That's how he said it. This is completely worthless, and it doesn't help the team.
I don't think he ever called me worthless. You're
Well,
stretching it there.
He called all of us worthless.
Okay.
The royal worthless.
Maybe you.
Yeah, fine. Call me worthless. Here's the truth, though. His actions don't say it was worthless. Bill was leaking things to the media all the time.
Yeah.
Bill had all kinds of people in the media. He has people in the media this week that he's using. So his actions didn't tell me that he thought it was worthless.
Yeah.
He found all kinds of value in the media as long as it was slanted his way.
Right, and that was the key. And this is the thing about Bill. And people, you go out and you talk, people ask you about covering Bill. You get that question all the time. What was it like, in all those press conferences and, talk at like schools and stuff. And they ask you, so he's one of the easiest guys that I've ever been around to cover because he's so incredibly consistent. You're not getting anything. I always felt like he treated everybody the same. Now, your point is valid. There were some that he liked to get his message out through off to the side, and he had his ways, his back channel ways of doing that periodically. But I always felt like he was a pretty consistent guy to deal with. And it was the guys that used to, in a press conference he's saying one thing, and then he's saying the exact opposite to Mike Reese on there, and then the next day he's telling Paul Perillo a completely different story. Those are the guys that are tough to cover,
right?
Because you don't know what the truth is. With Bill, I think he was pretty straightforward with you, and he told you nothing. And he stuck to his message.
Unless you were one of the chosen few that all of a sudden would just get, a return phone call and a direct quote, like, I don't know, Jim McBride in recent years.
And that's
McBride became his favorite guy,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden McBride was getting things.
And it's the 100% rule with Bill.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to help out Beetle today. Oh, Beetle.
You never helped me out.
No. Beetle was great.
No.
Beetle was great. I told him what happened. He presented it exactly the way we wanted
nice to me on a couple of occasions.
Okay.
Very nice, but
I
never got any scoops.
But you could do that 10 times. And this has happened to all of us. I'm not speaking out of school here. Everybody has been in this situation. Talk to Michael about it, and he'll tell you exactly what happened to him. Mike Reese, Phil Perry, Tom Curran, Paul Perillo. Everybody has been in this boat at least once. It's 100%. You can do 10 times exactly the way you want. You could do it 100 times exactly the way he wants. You do it once, the way he doesn't want, you're out.
You're dead.
And I'll find the Jim McBride or whoever it is. And this is no disrespect to
Breer,
Jim.
you're dead.
Yep.
Dead to me, Breer.
I'm sure Bert was one of those guys too. Absolutely. One time. All it takes is one time where you write, say, do something that he didn't like. You're out. And that's the way Bill was. Like I said, very consistent. Very
Gasper,
consistent.
you're out.
See ya.
You're out of the
See
big
you
bed.
later, Gasper.
You're out of the big bed.
Remember Gasper and Bill yelling at each other in the locker room a couple of years ago? Remember that thing? Did you witness that, Paul?
I did not. I could use that story though. I
remember that?
I might be texting Chris in the office.
Remember that?
During the break? I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't remember a screaming match.
There-
Chris is.
I wouldn't say screaming. I wouldn't say
because Chris
screaming.
is.
Bill,
I can't even picture him screaming.
I think Bill had yelled something or made a snide remark, and it just got.
I probably.
It got animated.
I probably remember it, but
there were
the
witnesses. It got animated, and Chris Gasper will not back down from anybody. So,
well, especially in my dealings with Chris, if Chris is like me, he's very stubborn.
oh yeah,
And when he thinks he's right, and I think it's an admirable quality. Like if you stand by your beliefs, don't just kowtow. I mean, now the flip side of that is if you're proven wrong, I need you to admit that you were wrong.
well, of course.
And that's what we all have. I was, not everybody could say that they were wrong.
Phil Perry in recent years, he was getting the business from Bill all the time in the press conference. He
Yep.
must have been on the outs too.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, and you could see it. You can see the way
Oh,
a guy
yeah.
gets treated. You could tell, and you're like, oh, and Andy Hart and I used to like, oh yeah, he must have done something that Bill didn't like. You could tell he's getting treated a little different.
So I don't think he thought the media was useless. He just wanted the media going his way. That's what he wanted.
Do you think it's an accident, too, that every single media obligation he has moving forward is with a former player? Like, it's McAfee, it's the Manning cast, and it's inside the NFL. all those
Yeah.
shows.
That's a great point.
Those are all good choices.
It's a great
for
point.
him.
They're all soft landing areas, and I'm surprised.
No,
he's doing
but
as
not
much
just
as
soft
he is.
landing, Paul. The ability to showcase that he's relatable to younger guys and younger former players.
Yeah, that one got by me. So
Yeah, like Ryan Clark
That's a
on
good point,
Inside
too.
the
Yeah.
NFL is a former player.
McAfee.
Considered a really young guy, even though he's not that young. But you know what I mean? He sort of is in that demo of young guys, former players.
See, I think, and this is sort of a little tangent. I think there's a lot of talk about, well, he no longer relates to the younger players.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily sure that that's the problem. I think he hasn't adapted and changed with the modern game. Like, I think his offenses have not adjusted to the way everybody else plays offense. And he's the head coach. Ultimately, he's responsible for that. But I think he still, in his heart of hearts, wants to win game 17-13. And I think it's really hard. I've been listening to a lot of stats this week in the afternoon, driving home with Mike and McCarthy and Barth have been on with him. And a guy called up and got him on this. Teams that allow an average of 20 points per game or less, you never win less than 7 games. Well, obviously, if you don't give up
Sweet.
any points, you're going to win games.
Oh, yay, 7 games.
Okay.
What's that get you these days?
No, well, and even I think that they did some research. There's been in the last 10 years, there's 60 teams that have averaged 20 points or less, and 57 of them won more than that, more than 7 games. But my point is, if you're allowing less than 20 points per game, you're probably scoring. What is the team that's averaging 20 points with the Patriots offense? Last year, what did opponents get? 21 points a game against the Patriots? And they went 4-13. Kansas City last year was one of those teams that was in the top 5 scoring defense, and they had a really good defense last year. They still had Mahomes. They won the Super Bowl because they had Mahomes. You're not going to win a lot of games 17-13. You can win a regular season once in a while, but you're not going to go 14-3 and roll to the Super Bowl by winning 17-13 every week.
Which is why if I have Josh Allen or I'm the Eagles with all of the offensive firepower, that I'm not hiring Bill Belichick.
See, but this is my point.
I'm not hiring that guy.
This is not about his ability to relate to Josh Allen.
Right.
This is his ability to take a guy like Josh Allen and let him play.
Can both be true, but the issue you bring up be the bigger of the two?
Yeah,
and I agree with you. It is the bigger of the issues.
Probably some connection issues, and I know that Gerard Mayo has been one of his things in talking to him is he's tried to say you need to embrace the modern athlete before you ask him to run through a wall. That's one of the kind of common phrases that he's done. And that's a departure from Bill. Bill is old school, and it's you do it because I'm the coach, and I said, this is how we're doing it. That's how we all sort of played sports, I'm sure. I mean, Tim, you're a little younger than me. But
Participation trophies over here, but yeah,
you're a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would assume that when the coach said something, you did it. Nowadays, they want to know why. They're doing it before they do it.
I think Bill's making every effort right now to prove that he is relatable to people in their early 20s.
I do. I do think that that's part of it, but my bigger problem is
personal life, professional life, all of it. Early 20s.
I know where you're going. I see
that's
the
where
smirk
you
on
want.
your face.
It's my sweet spot.
That's a sweet spot now for him. Jesus, that's a sweet spot.
I suppose he's not the coach anymore. I suppose I could talk about it.